Welcome, you're watching Kaleidoscope Selling Life News Capsule. In 2023, Sri Lanka's female labour force participation was 32.1%, while the male rate of participation was 71.9%. In fact, 2024's female labour force participation rate is even lower, and there isn't a definite answer as to why. Here to explain the whys and wherefores of the problem is the chairperson of the Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce Sri Lanka, Gayani de Alwis. So last year, we've been through a very interesting year, both in Sri Lanka as well as globally. What are your observations of women and their place in the theatre of the economy?
Women plays a huge role anyway, so that has been really understood. But having said that, the role is multifaceted, but the narrative is so complex. And we need to really look at the challenges that we are still faced with. Having made some progress, but we have to look at those challenges. But in Sri Lanka, the latest issue is that the female labour force participation has dropped down to 29.6, which is all-time low. So we need to really understand that and see what we need to do.
And why is that?
I really don't know the reasons, but it has been coming at a rate, probably because we have an economic situation which is really, we are still not out of the woods, and maybe that is one reason, and women are also anyway affected because of that. Always for any crisis, women are the most affected, so that may be one reason, but there are plethora of things that prevents women participating in the local economy as well.
Do you think the women's lot has changed in any way? Are we going to see better times for women?
I feel the situation will improve because the awareness is getting created, and especially the new generation, the millennials and all of that, and they really look at this, they don't look at gender like our generation used to look at, right? So now I think because of that, the gender is not an issue for them. So in that context, there will be positive times. But having said that, in Sri Lanka, more women are getting educated now. If you look at all the universities, except for two disciplines, 60% of the women are the ones that are coming out of universities. But having said that, although we have higher number of women coming out of the universities, but female labour force participation is going down. That's a cause for concern, which are, as I mentioned earlier. But awareness is getting created. Government is really working on it. The fact that we now have a female Prime Minister in the country and also the highest ever female parliamentary representation without coming through the national list, which is really good news for all of us. So in that context, I hope for better times ahead for us.
On that note of having more female MPs in Parliament, how does that augur for Sri Lanka?
Women in decision-making positions, especially at the legislature level, they will always look at things from a gender lens. Because very often we don't have gender disaggregated data, we don't look at things, policies that are of importance to women. So at least as a woman, we hope that this lot will really look at these things from that angle. So in that context, I have some hope. And the organizations like Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce, what we really try to do is really create awareness on what opportunities that lie ahead for women and what more can be done. So we are pushing the envelope by really recommending policies that are favorable for women and women entrepreneurs as well.
Which areas do you think need to be honed in and looked at to improve and develop the role of women in national development?
So the biggest thing that we need to address is the female labour force participation. We know we have skilled and unskilled migration, and females represent 52% of the population. So obviously you need to actually reach out to that community who's available. Having said that, some women are not willing to come join the labour force, but there are other opportunities for women to get involved, like informal economy and especially in entrepreneurship. If you look at the entrepreneurship in the 75% of the SME landscape, out of that only 25% are female-owned enterprises. So what is important for us is to get more women in the informal sector to get into the mainstream and also give them a helping hand to really look at economic participation. And also the other sector of women, how do you make them export ready? So there are lots of things we can look at. giving access to capital, access to market, access to know-how, lot of things which we have been talking for years, but it's time to act now.
What industries do you think women are most suited to be in?
For me personally, I come from an industry which is male dominant, but it's all up to you. We should not put people into buckets, women into buckets, and really say that you're suitable for these kind of roles. But generally, due to cultural issues and societal pressures, women are involved in certain roles which are especially in the health sector, the education sector, because the times that are there for women is suitable, and also the ecosystem is very conducive for women. But having said that, now we are seeing a lot of women getting into male dominant areas, especially in the logistics sector. If you look at, now we have 10 female gantry crane operators, and one of the private terminals, now they have recruited about 10 or 12 female management trainees. So that means situation is improving in areas that are not conducive for women, are considered to be male dominant.
Is the country, is the world serious about empowering women? What is your frank opinion?
I think we need to start with the statistics to understand the gravity of the problem. Globally, if you look at the latest global gender gap report, it will take 134 years to bridge the gender gap. It will not happen in our lifetime. But I, for one, look at that in a positive way, because if there's a gap, there's an opportunity for us also to do something. So there have been many instances where a lot of studies and research have been done on the challenges faced by women. So if you really look at the biggest items are that the policy landscape. We need to look at the laws and regulations which should be conducive to women, especially the maternal benefits. Second thing is about the education aspect. There is a lot of time waiting for you before you get into the next stage after O-level, A-level. So then by the time you get out of universities or schools and universities, you are in the marriageable age. So that is another challenge. So we need to understand, you need to give opportunity for women to work before they look at other options. The third thing is the transportation option. So we need to have a very safe transportation. And finally, we need to look at the societal pressures and sensitizing the society and also look at how do you really look at cultural problems and all of that, and make everyone understand, females or males, both bring different skill set to the table. So having both of them is good to the business as well as to the economy as well.
Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. So make sure to subscribe, follow and like us for more.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Silingo Life.